Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn your Greeble details into a sculpt object that you can uh, take over into Zbrush or any of the sculpting software that you have. Okay, so this can work in any shape, especially with armor pieces. But I'm just going to demonstrate this on a cylinder because you know it's much simpler for me to do. So just imagine this is like a collar, a bracelet, or just kind of like a ridge structure inside a power cell or something. So mesh, cylinder. Let's add a bit of resolution to this, 64. And number one in the numpad to go to the front. And I'm just going to rotate this in edit mode. So rotating this in edit mode means that I don't have to apply the rotation in object mode. Let's make this wider and select these two top faces here. Well, the previously top faces, and then inset and Control E, and then bevel those edge loops. Okay, let's add just a bit more topology. Actually, let's just mirror this. Mirror this in the XY. Auto mirror can also work in edit mode, but I'm just used to switching to object mode. So auto mirror, X, Y, and Z. There we go. And shade auto smooth. So selecting all the faces, and then random loop extrude. So what we're aiming for here is kind of like a good mix of large and small details. So I'm thinking getting rid of the symmetry line right here, the split in the center, and then to really get the result from the randomization, you need to increase the subdivision. So something like 2 or 1. There we go, 1. And then let's go to look panel size. Let's make this third loop object 60. So that'll be the, or probably 50. And this is 25. Let's increase the subdivision. So this is the global subdivision right here, and this is the loop subdivision, which means that it's individual subdivision for each loop object. So the column right here represents the settings or parameters for this particular loop object, except of course of the seed values, which are universal to that parameter. And subdivision right here is also global, except for this. So let's make the number 1 not too tiny to make it translate to the next stage much better. And probably number 2 as well. No. And let's try and so I'm going to undo and add more edge loop. Okay. There we go. And let's get rid of this symmetry line right here, or symmetry split. There we go. So make sure that these faces are kind of really extruding out and doesn't overlap with any face. So I think this is inset depth. There we go. And so let's pretend we have this as our finished Greeble. You can see the it's in the online documentation. When you use too much subdivision on a curved surface or in this case, a cylinder. You can see this, what do you call this? These lines right here. That is a product of the subdivision using the Python script. You can see these bumps right here, and that is the bumps that you see in this shading here. So this doesn't happen with the subdivision modifier, but if you use the subdivision modifier, you need supporting edges in order to sharpen the corner edges. So it's a bit of a trade-off, but there's an operator here. So select everything except for the original cylinder. Let's hide the cylinder and select everything else. And go to extras, mesh, smooth, sharp. There we go. So you can smooth the sharp edges, which is this edges right here, the sharp angled edges, and smooth flat. This is the smoothing for the flat faces or surfaces. Okay, so right now we're only doing smoothing for the flat areas. You can increase this, but not too much. You can also smooth the sharp edges, but you can see there's a smoothing effect on the actual overall structure of the mesh. So this is only for a bit high res geometry, since this will actually be a lot weaker on high res geometry. Okay, so let's get that back to 0, and then let's use something like 3. So you can see that at least it's the shading error is not that noticeable anymore. Okay. Actually, okay. I was going to say that you really don't have to do that because of the next stage. But I'm just glad that I showed you, just in case you don't need to actually do the second stage. So this is backup. Let's hide that. And select everything, and then Control J to join everything. We're not going to use the join objects, since this is going to be, the data of this is going to be destroyed. Control J, and then in the modifiers, let's apply the mirror. Control A, while hovering on the modifier. Control A to apply it, and then click the plus sign, generate, and click on remesh. So in this case, we're going to use the voxel, and with this, the sweet spot, the lowest sweet spot is 0.01. So beyond that, just be careful, because that's too much detail, and depending on the complexity of your model, it could freeze Blender. So 0.01 is our ultimate threshold, the danger zone. So just watch while you're dragging. So let's just set this points to 0.01. Okay, there we go. Maybe we could try 0.008, but be careful. Let me just save. I'm going to save this as Greeble to Sculpt. Just in case we crash, I can open up this file again. Control save, and 0.008. Okay, be careful. Okay, 0.005. Okay, so this you can access, or you can quickly view the geometry using Shift Z. There's a toggle in the preferences where there's additional elements here in the pie menu for the shading using the Z hotkey. You need to do that. You need to enable that in order for the other settings here to show up. So we have the wireframe here, which can be activated using Shift Z. and that will let you quickly view preview the resolution of the map. So with something like this, ZBrush can easily handle this um, resolution. But just in case you need to go lower, you need to make sure that the voxel size goes higher. Higher means bigger faces, which means less detail. So there's a bunch of floaters that I can see right here. So I guess let's just fix that after the operation. So 0.01 and 0.008. There we go. So 0.008, and yeah, you need to skip the smooth sharp that I showed you earlier. Okay, so we need to, okay, we don't actually need to apply it yet. We can also use this smooth modifier in the deform section. Smooth, and just something like 5, just to smooth out the surface a bit. Okay, so you can also change the smoothing to shade smooth, which doesn't work. You can set it in remesh. There we go. So this is what you're going to import in ZBrush. When you import this, you as an object file, you toggle on the apply modifiers and only import this particular object, because the object import defaults to importing the entire, I think, all of the meshes in the scene. So just be aware of that. Or maybe they've changed that and I don't know, but just be aware of that. Okay, so this is our sculpt object. This is Unimesh and watertight, as you can see. But just in case, let me just duplicate this. Just in case you see floaters or separate uh, geometry, you can apply. You cannot affect those without applying. So apply, Control A. On the remesh, it will take some time. Actually, it didn't apply. Control A. Okay. And do not go to edit mode to check the wireframe. It will it will be slow. So just use Shift Z and Control A for the smooth also. Okay. So the cleanup process. Actually, you need to go to edit mode. Sorry about that. Okay, so go to edit mode, select everything, and mesh cleanup, delete loose. You can try that, and also first you can do this, and then you can do the M hotkey, delete the uh, double verts just in case there's any, using the by distance, and you can use the F9 hotkey after the operation to modify its redo properties. And mesh, another cleanup property that you can use is the generate dissolve. Uh, this will get rid of zero length edges and zero area faces. Okay, so just to make sure before you import it on ZBrush, to make sure that the geometry is really clean. And besides using this for sculpt, you can use this also for as asset, background asset. So so the detail is much softer now because we remeshed it, but to use this as an asset in your scene and make it lighter, you can go to generate and decimate. Planar works kind of like limited dissolve. So let's check on that. So there's a bunch of shading error here because essentially the flat, the curved areas with all those edges, those edges have been, those supporting edges to keep the curved shape have been removed mostly in the flat faces. So these are being, there are a couple of shading errors. But if this is just a background asset, then with a texture, good texture, those shading errors can really be noticeable. Or you can use collapse. So let's just try 0.6. And let's see the detail. 0.2. Detail is still there. We have 63,000 faces. So just slowly do it. 0.1. Okay. 0.1. We have 36K faces. So let's go a little bit further. 0.05. There we go. You have 18K. You can choose to just use the point 1 from earlier. So I think the surface shading is much more serviceable using the point 1 ratio. This will be different when you try out your model based on the complexity of the shape and the size of it. So we can apply Control A, and I think this is already triangulated. So yeah, maybe we can shade smooth. That actually made it worse. Shade flat. Okay, just shade smooth. Shade auto smooth from before. Okay, shade smooth. There you go. Uh, this is much lighter, and you can actually use something like array. So Blender has really improved a lot during the years, and it can handle more geometry resolution now. Not as epic as ZBrush, but of course it can. You can see those demo videos in YouTube where it can render out those billions of polygons, forests. Uh, yeah, the what do you call this? The landscape renders. I mean, that's just stretching it to the max, but Blender could really do that. So what am I supposed to do? Okay, all right. Here you go. So close up, of course, the details are really smooth because of the remesh and the decimation, but it depending on the render distance or something like this far from the camera, it could work. And combined with good texture and lighting, then of course it works much better. Okay, actually it works even at this distance with an addition of some textures. With texturing, for those who are new, you can just pick the faces, use something like a planar, and increase the threshold to get all those faces in this direction. Okay, something like 1 or 0.8, or maybe just box select it. There we go. So it will take some work, but you can try something like project from view. So there are a bunch of ways to actually UV this. And let's go to UV and let's try UV unwrap angle based. So there's no actual UV. So smart UV project. There you go. So you can try this. And just for something that is a background object, you can actually make this work for this geometry. UV. So for this, since we already have the details, I just might add grunge textures to this and not and also some AO. Use AO for the dirt and also some vertex color. Really combine those to get some dirt effects. Okay, so Next video might be texturing this. Okay, so I don't have to. I'm interested of showing you how to texture this. So that might be the next video. So okay, so I might end this video here as part 1, and the next one will be texturing this. Okay, so that is it. If you have any questions, just the comment section below or the links in the description. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.